What's up guys, thanks for tuning in on today's video. I'm Gabe and today we're going to be going over a very simple mod that you can do for your 2010 through 2013 Camaro SS or RS. As you guys can see through the title of the video, that's actually going to be a fog light delete on these Camaros. This is not going to be a how-to step-by-step instructional video. It's kind of just going to be a walk around showing you guys what I've done, my setup. Alright, so behind me I have my 2010 Camaro SS featured in an aqua blue metallic color. If you guys know about Camaros, this is imitating the 2014 to 2015 5th generation Z28. You do notice that there are a lot of Z28 resembling parts, for example the wheels and the splitter. You also have the SS hood insert, Z28 hood insert, and of course all of these aftermarket modifications are in a gloss black paint color. I think gloss black looks really nice, especially with this blue color. It does contrast it very nicely, very aggressive, but at the same time it also is very pleasing to look at. So as we move to the front of the car, we'll start to notice that the fog lights are missing because I went ahead and did the fog light delete on them. So this is the actual fog light bulb, or housing rather. They would go over here on the side, and here's an image so you guys don't have to visualize that. And as you guys can see, it does look significantly different, especially with this black and blue color combination. Personally, I was never a fan of the fog light situated on the side there, and it was just very big and very circular, and for me it kind of looks a little cartoony. It just really didn't look right for me, and one of the first things that I did to the car was actually a fog light delete afterwards. One of my simple mods rather. One of the reasons why somebody would do this fog light delete is specifically for that. Just for a different look. You know, again, it makes the car look a lot more aggressive. I actually finished the housing here in a gloss black finish to match the splitter and the wheel. I'll get back to that in just a moment here, but the second reason why you would do a fog light delete is actually for performance one, is because if you track this car very frequently, one of the solutions that you can use in order to cool the brakes, because you don't really want the brakes to overheat on the track, especially for a very heavy car like this, you would really want to upgrade your brakes, and it just gets very costly. So one of the quickest ways and inexpensive ways rather to remedy this overheating problem is to actually do the fog light delete and order and purchase some air ducts that'll basically go all the way to the brakes and serve as kind of like a cooling system. So as the air channels through, it'll go ahead and cool the brakes, and it's just a very simple, easy, really inexpensive way of doing so. Now I don't actually track this car to the point that I could actually leverage that type of design, so for me to do that would kind of just be a little overkill. This is my daily driver car, so I really just wanted to do this for the look of the car. So those are the two reasons why anybody would want to do a fog light delete on their Camaro SS or RS. All right, so now we have a better angle observing the actual fog light housing, and as you guys can see, yes, it is finished in a gloss black paint color as I mentioned earlier, but inside where the bulb would actually be, you do see that there's a kind of like a garden fence mesh type of thing. This is something that I found in Home Depot actually, and I don't really remember the price, but what I did was actually purchase, you know, like the actual, I guess like the whole fence unit, which is really not that large. So when I went ahead and bought the actual mesh, I used this tool, and I don't remember if it's this tool in particular, but I used it to kind of like cut out the shape of the actual housing. Now this housing in itself comes out pretty easily. That is actually how I managed to crazy glue. You heard that right, ladies and gentlemen. I actually crazy glued the mesh to the actual housing, and it's actually lasted me for the last 3 years or so since I've done this. You guys can see that I actually have some glue stains or sections there, and really that was the easiest way for me to do that. I really didn't want to get too creative. I didn't want to like melt it into it or anything like that, but as you guys can see, it's held up pretty nicely, and even with rock chips and just other debris, it's still held on really, really nicely. So just to recap, all I did was pop out the actual housing, which first you actually have to disconnect the fog light. That way you can take out the housing and then the bulb itself out. Once you take out the housing, you'll be able to measure that mesh accordingly. And of course, if you want to paint this color in yellow, purple, blue, whatever the case may be, you can go ahead and do so. I do believe that it's kind of like a flat black color, yeah, flat grayish color. Now, when you're actually doing these fog light deletes removals, I strongly suggest that you take the wheels out or the rims out. That way you have as much access as possible to this area. So let's go ahead and take a look at how it looks inside here, and it's gonna be a little cramped in here. So as you guys can see here, it's actually quite messy. I put some tape, and it's not even the best type of tape, as you guys can see there. And here's a better look of how I have the cable management. So up here you do see where the bulb would go, right? And all of this tape is actually wrapped around the cables that would go connected to the actual bulb. There are a couple. I'm not sure if there's one or two, but either way, well, all I did was essentially unplug it, let the cables hang, and then when I did all of the job, you know, putting in the mesh and going ahead and painting everything, as you guys can see, there's my hand on the other side. But once I did all of that and I reinstalled the actual cover piece that is after painted, after all the glue, after the mesh is installed, then that's when I did the tape. You know, but to put tape on it is not necessarily the most effective way, and definitely not the most presentable way. But definitely what I would recommend doing is actually just using a zip tie if you can. But anyways, guys, there you have it. That is my current setup for my fog delete on my 2010 through 2013 Camaro SS or RS. I really hope that this video was somewhat informative or somewhat insightful for you guys looking to consider doing this mod. Again, it's very cheap to do. I can't imagine this being more than 20 bucks. You know, what would probably be expensive is the can of paint that you would use to paint over it, but the mesh itself must be, call it $12 or so. So I stand corrected, maybe $25 to do this. It shouldn't take more than 2 hours or so, depending on how you go about your painting schedule. You know, if you're somebody that really likes to let the paints, how many coats you want to do, etc., etc. If you guys found it entertaining and insightful, go ahead and like this video, guys. It helps out a lot with the YouTube algorithm. Guys, if you enjoy my content overall, go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the channel, guys. I really appreciate it. This year I want to get to 5,000 subscribers. We're at 3,700 now. And guys, let me know in the comment section below if you guys have a different method of doing so, or if you guys have a different setup. Go ahead and hit that notification bell so you always get notified. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you next time.